Thailand. The other day I shared it with Elise on her live. I've joined her. So it's from Oahu indigenous, not indigenous, like ethnic group from Thailand. They're from the west, west of Thailand. The city is called Phang, and they live like an ethnic group with indigenous people. So I spent a couple of weeks with them, like sleeping in bamboo houses and having rice cooked inside a room. It was amazing. And then I was there back in January 2014. So they gave me this as a gift. So the guy who's making it, his father is Chinese and his mother is Oahu, which is the ethnic group. And then they're making very delicious pours, not pour like dark tea, but it's really good. And I've kept it for 5 years before tasting it. And it tastes delicious. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought Puer is only a Yunnan style of tea. I mean, I guess the plants can exist outside of Yunnan and you can process it in that style.
Yeah, corrected myself by saying dark tea. Yeah, that's why I said Puer. I actually a dark tea, like the processing method. It's not from Puer, but it's made the same. It's just the same.
Same genetics too. I mean, the plants don't know about borders. You got these big tea trees living on one side of the border, the other side of the border. There's like yam tea.
They have ancient trees there. Like it was like a 2-day trekking to go there. I was like, oh my god, please take me. But it was January and they can only pluck it in April. But he sent me some sample. I have this old tree, ancient tree tea. It's delicious also. So yeah, it's an old area for tea as well.
Hi, everybody's pretty much drinking raw Puer, yeah?
Yeah.
Hi, Travis. How are you?
I have this dark tea from Japan that I actually got from Pedro. It's Bata Bata Cha. I bet he knows way more about this tea than me. But it's not a Puer, of course, but it's also a dark tea from Japan, but I think it's very exotic.
It's funny, but the Japanese actually they refer to that type of tea and also goishi-cha often as puaru-cha, which of course we know that Puer is a denomination of origin, but apparently a lot of people use it loosely to refer to any dark fermented tea.
Pedro, are those teas typically harvested and processed from tea trees grown from seed?
Yeah, the answer, well, bata bata, yes. The answer is yes. There is only one guy who still makes bata bata, and it's in Toyama. And the trees are old and messy, and they are of unknown cultivar, so they just say side-eye.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't planted more because there's not much demand for Toyama Kudo-chan in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That said, they are not big trees. They're tiny bushes that are just old and gnarly. It's probably one of the most northern tea growing areas in Japan, and you just don't get the plants to thrive and become very big.
Mm-hmm.
This is the beautiful Chessen that it use it for it. I love it.
Have you tried, Priscilla, with actual puer? If you try cooked puer with and you bata it, it turns out really creamy and delicious.
Oh, I will, for sure I will. I love my Chessen.
Your Chessen, yeah, I know. They're beautiful.
Wait, can I
So
say
try bata with puer.
And you whisk it like you would matcha?
No. So when you make bata, what you do is you cook it like you would, for example, for Hunan Fujuan. oftentimes ethnic people just boil the hell out of the dark tea. So that's what you do with bata bata. And then you put it in a bowl and you whisk it and you create this beautiful kind of espresso froth. And it, of course, adds a lot of oxygen to your brew. Now, if you try that with actual cooked puer, I think you can make a really nice drink. Completely non-traditional, completely not what you would do with proper puer. But I'm a Mexican, so I don't have to follow my grandfather's tradition.
Oh, wait, you said you could make you could cook puer in what to make a really good drink?
Okay, so when you do it, there's a type of tea from a place called Toyama in northwest Japan.
Yeah.
And what they do is they cook the tea. They just boil it, right?
Right.
And when you serve it in a bowl. It's a very tall bowl, so you don't make a mess.
Right.
You
Right.
take a chasen, a whisk.
Uh-huh.
The whisk is more similar to the ones that people used in the Song dynasty. So it's not a traditional Japanese chasen. And it's linked. They are two chasen, like the one that Priscilla just showed. And then you just whisk the hell out of your tea. And that adds oxygen, and of course it improves the texture of your drink. Like exactly like Priscilla is showing. The reason why they do it, I was told in Toyama, was if all of us are drinking, the guy who started the tea tradition in Toyama was a monk. He was a Buddhist monk, and he wanted to create community.
Right.
So to create community, you make a fire because everybody gathers around the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get all the people gathering around the fire, if you just give them tea and they go away, that's the end of your community. You know, they came, they drank the tea, they're gone. It was free tea.
Right.
Now, if you give them a bowl and a whisk,
Yeah.
and I whisk it, and then I give you the whisk, and then you whisk, and then we compare, and I say, dude, my whisking is so much better. So it's not a fancy ceremonial kind of whisking. It's just originally it was an idea to create community, to do a bit of a whisking competition.
Right.
It also, of course, adds some oxygen to your brew, and it also, of course, changes the texture of the drink.
Right.
And I find it pretty fun. I find it makes a very delicious drink when you do it with either Toyama, Bata Bata Cha, or you guys have even a regular chasen, some old chasen, and you make some cooked puer and put it in a larger bowl. So try something like 150 milliliters. Just whisk it and see how it tastes.
Pedro, what is the Bata Bata Cha? What is it? Is it a dark tea? Is it green tea? What is it?
Yeah, it's a dark tea. So it's if you ask the Japanese, they call it a puer, which of course it's not. But the fermentation process is not very different versus cooked puer or liubao. It's a pile fermentation.
Okay. Now,
the kind of microorganisms that you get are very similar to the ones in Hunan Heicha. They're some kind of aspergillus.
Right.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you.
I think Priscilla had a question, or she froze.
I have a sample here. No, I have a sample here. Oh, yes. I have a sample here of Bata Bata Cha. It's mostly tea leaves and twigs. It's beautiful and delicious.
It's a bancha. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see it.
I see. They're very big leaves. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are big leaves and twigs also.
And twigs.
Now I'm curious. From speaking of Lobao, that's a tea I've never really tried, but I've heard it's like heralded. In fact, Essence of Teas has an amazing one that's supposedly like the big brother of Red Mark from the 1950s. What is it basically? Why is it so like heralded and like so good?
My dad's from Hong Kong.
What's that?
Bilbao.
Yeah.
So here's Pan. My dad's from Hong Kong, and he drank Bilbao growing up. And what he told me was that puer is for people who can't handle Bilbao.
Oh. Hey! Wow. Yeah. All right, then that elevates my everything else.
So it's like, you know how people go and they want to get the spiciest hot wings at the restaurant?
Right.
That's Liu Bao, but for earthiness. It's just like the earthiest, funkiest, darkest heicha. As far as the darkest one I've come across. It's like just dark.
What was it? Imen Tea Habitat told me, oh, it tastes like ripe puer. I'm like, okay. But hearing this is different because everyone told me it was like so many Essence of Tea said that their Lubao from the 1950s is like Red Mark, and I'm like, that's a high thing to say. I gotta see what this is about.
I'll also say it's super gnarly when it's bad. It's the gnarliest tea. Like it's like really, really when it's like really low quality Liu-Bao is like really toxic. It's gnarly tea. But good Liu-Bao is really good, and it is a lot like Puer, but just turned up.
Oh, okay. Because they were also saying they have a 3-leaf one called that they use for meditation. So I'm like, all right, I'm looking for tea like that.
Yeah.
I that's what it said.
Interesting. Let's talk
Dude,
more about
if you look in Alibaba or Taobao, you can get a wide variety of Liu-Bao, a lot of which, of course, is fake, and some of it may be real. But there's a super wide variety from the one that just tastes like dirt to some stuff that is comparable with really nicely fermented dark puer or show puer.
Yeah, okay. I had to check this out because right when I heard it's like Red Mark, I'm like, and they've offered me 1950s Red Mark for like $100 a gram, and I'm like, I can't.
Dude, I don't know about that.
Yeah. So I'm like,
It can be good.
I'm gonna try it. Yeah. Now.
Yeah, it can be. And I used to sell Liu-Bao for like 4 years. I sold Liu-Bao, and then my guy ran out of that one batch, and he just didn't have anything else that was good. And now I just don't sell it. I just don't have Liu-Bao now. That's like how it is, because the farmers don't keep it, and the collectors can't keep getting the same stuff. Or my guy could not keep getting the same stuff. So that's the wild world of Liu-Bao.
When I saw that Essence of Tea was selling it, and they were selling it for, oh my god, I kid you not, 10 grams is $185, and I'm like, it's kind of steep for me. I'm like, steep for the essence of like, what if it's not something I like? Because I remember getting it was a Hui, and I spent like $30 on it for like 8 grams, and I'm like, what the heck is this? This is ridiculous. I'm like, so I'm kind of skeptical.
Can I say something about this?
Yeah, go please.
So I've drank many kilos of Liu-Bao tea from Essence of Tea.
Uh-huh.
And I would say you will not be disappointed
Uh-huh.
if you buy the 4 gold coin, 2005 Liu-Bao. It's $175 for a kilo. Obviously, if you want to buy a sample, that's fine. But, for $175, I mean, it's really good.
So 2005 4 gold coin Liu-Bao. Okay. Oh, yes.
That's pretty reasonable price, man. For 2000, that's a very
reasonable.
reasonable price.
And it's
Yeah.
better than a lot of show puer at that.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, 175 a kilo. That would be like the wholesale price.
Mm.
I couldn't even. I couldn't.
No, that's on their site.
Wow.
That's not wholesale.
Oh.
Wow.
That's really good price, man. I would try some of that and share with your friends.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would, because I'm not opposed to it. I've heard many good things about their S&T, and they're very trustworthy. So I can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna go with what Eric said. Yeah, you're right. You guys are right. Because I'm kind of skeptical. I've been skeptical because like certain teas are expensive, but they're not worth it.
It's true.
Yeah, Tivana being one.
Sorry, I was inaccurate. It's $210.
Okay.
It's still reasonable, man.
Really
Yeah.
good
Very
price.
reasonable.
Yeah, still a really good price.
It's still pretty good for a kilogram, dude. That's not bad.
Per kilogram. Really?
Yeah, it's a kilo, and it's really good tea. I've drank 2 kilos of that particular tea.
Since you said you drank a lot of Liu-Bao from Essence of Tea, have you tried their 1950s Liu-Bao?
No, I'm not about to spend that much money on tea. I mean, I like tea, but you can have a lot of good tea for not spending that much money.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just like these legendary teas I keep hearing about. I remember trying Monkey Picked Oolong for the first time. I'm like, what the hell's this?
Yeah.
And I was like very underwhelmed. I'm like, this is not what I was thinking about.
I get a lot of mileage out of not spending a lot of money. Speaking of which, I've just been going through a couple of Sohan's teas, Lucky Anchor and I forget the name of the other one. The Lucky Anchor is really good. I'm really enjoying that tea, and it's the first time I've had this. I don't know what the term is, but where they don't turn it, so it's kind of like a surprise each time and you
Yeah.
drink it.
Yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
other
it's
people will be
cool.
interested in this process then. For this.
Lucky
I guess we're talking about fermented tea today, right? Was that the idea? Yeah. So what Eric's talking about, that's just talking about. Thank you, by the way. I'm glad you like that. That Lucky Anchor, it's it has the least interesting name of the new ones. We give them all kind of funny names. So there's like Don Cheadle and Ormus and Thang Thang and stuff like that. But what they are is they're called Yuan Sheng Tua. And so Eric means about the not turned puer is that when you think about Sheng Puer aging and getting fermented on its own, it's not being, no one's turning that tea. If it's a being, even if it's just a bag of matcha, no one's turning that tea. By the way, this is I'm gonna enter my tea. This is my tea. Sam, did you help pick this? Me and Mancho, and I think Sam picked this in Nanwa Mountain.
That's very gnarly. It's very gnarly and interesting. What is it? Sheng?
Yeah, it's just matcha. It's a single tree. It's from one tree. Like we picked it from this one tree.
How old is the tree? Do you know?
Old, we don't know. Hundreds of years old. Big, it was big. Like climb up in it, big thick trunk. I don't know. I don't comment on puer tree age because it's not super knowable and people get particular about it. So I'm just like, old. It's older than me.
I was wondering because like I've heard a lot of old ones have this really weird character to them.
They do, yeah. This one does for sure. But I was saying that the Yuan Sheng Tua, the guy whose plants these are, Li Shu Lin, and then Eric, Sam and Elise know him. He likes old puer, but he doesn't think that show puer tastes like real old Sheng Puer. And he likes show puer. He does enjoy it. He makes it and he likes it. He drinks it. But he doesn't think it tastes like old Sheng Puer. And so his analysis, and he worked for the dye factory for 30 years. He's got a lot of experience fermenting tea. His analysis was that the difference is that when you've got puer being wodoed in a pile turned, then you're turning it. And you're getting a completely different kind of environment because every time you're turning it, you've got a bunch of different organisms in puer. You've got aspergillus, and then you've got a bunch of other stuff. And some of these things form networks. But when you're turning the leaves with respect to each other, you're disrupting these networks that are formed, and you're selecting for a microbiome that contains more of these non-network forming yeast and bacteria and fungi and whatever. It doesn't make it bad. It's just different. And he concluded that the difference in the way that in post-fermented show puer tastes and the way that aged Sheng Puer that is naturally fermented tastes is that this turning of the leaves, there's something about that reduces the complexity. And also, you don't have the opportunity for an interior and an exterior of the pile to develop in the same way because they're being turned. So that's Ashish, that's what Li Shu Lin, he developed this in 2000. When I met him in 2010, he had been researching this for 2 years, and he did not let me buy any for another 3 years. I called it the chunk tea. I was like, how's the Tua Tua Cha doing? Because he showed it to me. He wouldn't let me take pictures of it either, but it was this big chunk, and it was not like a cake. It wasn't like a being. It's not pressed. It just grows together, and you break off chunks, and it looks like a log. Yeah.
So one thing my friend Yang Chu, friend Yang Chu was saying, "Oh, that looks nice.
It's funky."
That's
Dude,
what I love.
You got a good setup, Eric. Your stuff looks really nice. It looks like a promo video for Yuan Sheng Tua right now.
That's Lucky Anger.
That's Lucky Anchor.
Yes, okay, I'm buying. You convinced me right there.
And they have these. The reason they have these silly names like Lucky Anchor. Lucky Anchor is the least silly name. There's Baba Yaga. There's Cloud Cream. You know, the reason they have these silly names is because we would buy these, and they all like Ashish was saying that even different parts of the chunk taste different because they're not homogenized. So different. One batch of this tea is completely its own unique journey, and then once it's done, it's just done forever. It'll never exist again. Like Lucky Anchor, there's maybe 7 kilos of Lucky Anchor that exist, and when we're done with Lucky Anchor, there won't ever be Lucky Anchor again. There'll be other teas that might be like Lucky Anchor, but it's not just because they're different years. Even 2 chunks sitting side by side from the same year, from the same harvest, end up tasting different because of the way that the microbiome colonizes the chunk and disperses through it. It's super interesting. Anyway, that's Yuan Sheng Tua, and he thinks, Li Shu Lin, the guy who created this, thinks that it tastes more like old Sheng than normal Wodui or Xiaoduizi Puer. And I once was, Mancho served me a year 2000 Puer. And we play a game at the tea house where no one tells me what tea they're drinking. They make me guess, and I guessed it was a Yuan Shengtuo, and because so this was an old Shengtuo, and it tricked me into thinking it was one of these Yuan Shengtuo. So anyway, it's very interesting. I'm glad that you're digging that, Ashish, and that was a totally good point to bring up about tea fermentation, because it's, when you think about it, the fundamental mechanical process that Puer goes through is not the same. Even, it's not just a faster version of what Shengpu goes through. It's totally different. Yuan Shengtuo takes about 80 to 90 days, I think. So it's not much slower than Wodui. But it's really hard to do. You can only do 10 kilos maybe at a time. He's done a few batches bigger than 10 kilos. And he has to check on it 5 times a day. He'll go up and he covers it in a tarp. So he can't turn it to dry it out. So he uncovers it to let it dry out, and it's sitting in one of those bamboo things, or these bamboo panza that you toss the leaves with. It's in one of those, so it breathes on the bottom. And he goes and he uncovers it to dry it out, and he covers back up to let it get wet. And there's the dew, and there's the ambient humidity. And he goes and he sticks his hand in it like 3 to 5 times a day to check the temperature. It's very fine-tuned. It's a super fine-tuned process. And like I said, for the first 2 years I knew him, 2 or 3 years I knew him, he wouldn't sell me any. He would just let me drink some. And he wouldn't take pictures of it either.
Well, he doesn't compress.
It sounds very interesting. The process sounds beautiful.
It's crazy. I wish I had some
It
pictures.
sounds incredible. And because I would like to know, once he reached his goal with this tea, how he made it again, how he replay it.
I mean,
because he experimented many times. When he reached his goal, how he did it again, because bacteria is changing all the time. Weather, rain, the earth, the dirt, it's changing every time. So how he can repeat the process?
He doesn't always repeat it. Sometimes it molds. Sometimes he gets a batch and he has to throw it away because it molds. Yeah, that's the danger. That's why he tries to keep it. He's done bigger than 10 kilos, but he does it only 10 kilos at a time, not just because it's easier to control, but because he'll lose less tea if it goes bad, because it's like a wood-fired pottery, you know what I mean? You lose a lot of pieces in the kiln.
Oh, yeah.
It's tricky. Yeah, it's tricky. So, sometimes it doesn't succeed. Sometimes he has to throw it away. And he's done it with gushu cha. He did a very small batch with gushu cha also. But it's like you wouldn't want to, you might not want to do as big of like a wodui process on gushu cha, because that's like a lot of tea and you're making a lot of dust in that turning process. But you preserve a lot more of the integrity of the tea with this unturned process.
What's really interesting about this tea too? I've done some work in my life with psilocybin. And this tea has the energy of the mushroom in it, for sure. Like when you drink this tea, it has, it's like there. I don't know how to put it, but it's obviously not psychedelically active. But there's some commonality that they share, some element that is totally mycelial. Yeah.
Well, wait. You said that it's not psychologically active, but there's something with it. Well, tell me more, please.
Well, when we drink these teas that have qi in them, right? You may be able to compare, like, as we get experience. I feel like certain energies we can break down, and we say, oh, the energy of this tea is also in this tea, but each one of them also has other characteristics that are unique to themselves. So there seems to be this isolated type of energy that I'm on my second sip now, and I'm already feeling it activate in my head. It's like it's good. That's the technical term. It's good.
You're not the first person to say that Yuan Shengtua has psilocybin energy.
Well, and from the process that you're discussing, where they're not turning the pile and they're letting the microbiome develop and connect, I mean, that is what the fungus kingdom does, like on the forest floor.
Right.
That underneath the forest floor, there's this whole network of fungus that, regardless of whether it's psychoactive and hallucinogenic or not, it's this network of a living organism underneath and living inside of the nature, living inside of nature.
But it I have chaga and I have reishi mushroom that I have in jars that I will put and kind of do alchemical blends with my Puer. So I'll put some reishi in or I'll put some chaga in. So I know what it's like to have mushroom mixed with tea, like non-hallucinogenic mushroom. But this particularly is like a psilocybin mushroom, not just like turkey tail or lion's mane or whatever. There's like an element of this.
May I ask you something?
Yeah.
Pan, I would like to ask you what kind of mushroom do you have in your tea?
Me?
I think I confused some of you guys were talking about mushroom in your tea. I think it was Pan. I don't have the whole screen. I'm in my phone.
Oh no.
Sorry.
I don't know much about that.
Who's Ashish?
Ashish was talking about that, Priscilla.
Yeah, I have some chaga that I'll put in my tea sometimes, or I'll put reishi in, just like a little chunk, just to kind of give it a little bit of that energy of the medicine of the mushroom.
Oh.
But right now he doesn't have mushrooms in his tea. Right now he's drinking a tea that reminds him of mushrooms.
Well, it more than reminds me. It's
okay.
It literally has the energy in it. It's in there. Like, and it makes sense why it would be, So just saying.
Thank you. That's awesome, dude. I like I said, you other people, more than one other person has observed that about Yuan Shengtua in general. But Lucky Anchor ended up being probably my favorite out of all the 4 new ones that we brought in this past batch. And I don't even know if it's really called Lucky Anchor because I made those names up, you know what I mean? Like Don Cheadle and Ormus and Baba Yaga and Lucky Anchor. Those are the 4 new ones. We just made those names up. And what we do is we give them names in English and then we give them names in Chinese because Li Shu Lin doesn't really read English. And so we give them names in English, we give them names in Chinese. And then when they send us some, they don't send us the whole 10 kilos or however many kilos at a time. They break off a chunk and put it in a bag and then they have to label it. And so to label it, they don't want to put the original label in there because that's the one that identifies it in their bag. So they copy that. But literally, I'll get these and they'll say like the name in Chinese of this tea, of that tea that you're drinking is Fu Pai. Lucky brand is what it is in Chinese. It's just like the name that I gave it. We called it Lucky something first. It's definitely Lucky something. But they wrote like Angrar with a backwards G and like just not even really all letters and just in a weird order. So I have no idea what we actually called it in English because the English name is not Lucky brand. It's something else. It's Lucky Angrar or something. I don't know. I need to go back there and physically see the label that we put into their bag of Yuan Shengtua to read what we wrote originally. But anyway, that's just a fun story about that particular one tea.
Probably looks good in tight jeans too.
So, Eric, you were saying that I was wondering, with the essence of tea one, and I think the Lucky Dragon has a good amount of shi in it, right?
Oh yeah. Good. The 4 gold coin. Has been my daily drink for like a year and a half. It's pretty. I would say. It has a really good profile to it on the mouthfeel. It's a very grounding tea.
Okay.
It brews for a really long time. It has really good longevity to it. I have a 2003 Leo Bao from Essence of Tea as well that I also got a kilo of, and that one's good, but it's a little bit more like kind of towards that spectrum of what you were getting at, Sohan. It's kind of like getting a little bit more like earthy, like in the forest, like earthy in the sense of like a little bit gnarly, but and that one pretty much probably has a lifespan about 6 steepings, but the 4 gold coin easily goes for 12, and I do thermos tea with that all the time. It's just super versatile. I'm like, it's such a great pun.
Yeah, I want to get some.
Do you guys find that drinking these dark teas, especially in the summertime, is almost like overheating? I find that I tend to drink more lighter and younger shung during the summertime.
I find that I need it in order if I eat like spicy food or like dark meats or something. I really need it in order for like to counteract a flavor profile. It just adds more excitement, I guess you could say, to it. I don't see that though. About that's interesting about the weather wise though.
I want to bring up something kind of related to what we were talking about earlier around the energetic properties to these teas and how different they can be. You know, like not just the flavor profile being so different tea to tea, but also the energy. And then Ashish, for you to bring up energy related to mushrooms, that's that's a pretty interesting place on the spectrum to be. And for me personally, that's not always my medicine. You know, for some people it is, but you know, for me, my reaction with that energy is not always where I need to be. So, like with that said, and there could be other energies as well, even some that are a bit erratic and kind of crazy and out there, especially with the younger shung puers, or with, you know, like the funky fermented puers. Is that something that like vendors should be communicating in their like marketing? You know what I mean? And you know, so I kind of want to bring that up.
Yo, this shit's gonna fuck you up.
Well, that's something I want to hear honestly, and it's like that's why I hate it, like Nirvana and
for me, that's
think
how I'm gonna promote it.
I think I have sometimes had to explain what kind of reaction is going to produce in different people, like a doctor, because they are sometimes, especially in Latin America, they ask in a medical way, like, you know, sometimes Puer has been sold with the idea that you are going to lose weight or something, or is going to delete your hunger, and they look for Puer in that way. So when I talk about Puer with people, I think I need to explain that it's not a magic pill that it's going to, you know, to delete all the fat or extra weight that you have in your body and that stuff. But definitely, I had to explain that tea drunk sensation, because it's real. It happens to me, and it has some extra things that happens in your body when you drink Puer, because it stimulates your liver and your digestive system. So it needs to be explained. Probably some people is very excited to know that if you have drink alcohol a lot, you will feel better drinking Puer or something. Because these are things that people knows or have heard about Puer, and sometimes they ask. And in my experience, they have people have asked in like a medical way. And when people is taking medicine, like by what I mean, it's in a medical, strictly medical way, like pills for something. I recommend my patients to drink some kinds of Puer because their liver will be healthier. So that's my experience about explaining people about what Puer can happen.
Priscilla, you brought up a very good point that if you drink drunk alcohol, Puer might be a good alternative. I explained that Puer is very much like fine wine. It needs, it's aged. It has very weird flavors that immediately that'll make me go ugh, right? Anything. So I had to tell people that.
Priscilla is also what she's also it is a good alternative to alcohol as far as like a cultural thing, but also I think what she was talking about is Puer helps metabolize alcohol.
Yeah,
and it helps to reverse the effects. In China, they're like they call it what do they call it? Jiejiu, untying the alcohol. Like makes you sober, makes you not drunk, and makes you not hungover. So that's
it is exactly what it does, because it is where it stimulates the function of your liver and your gallbladder, so it dissolves alcohol.
Yeah.
In the way all the things that you can, even when you have eat something that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
When you drink Puer, it helps because it your liver and your gallbladder, so you will be healthier and be uninfected. And for saying in a way, you won't be infected or contagious of whatever you got from food, because your liver and gallbladder are working better. Also, intestines are working better when you drink Puer. So it's one of my favorite medical aspects of tea for my patients, especially for those who are taking a lot of pills. I think I have said it before, and I'm working with a girl in Mexico. She has a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, and she's taking a lot of medicine, a lot. And I start working with her with Puer for taking care of her liver, and GABA oolong for improving her sleeping. And she is doing great. Yesterday, it was a month since we start drinking Puer with her, and she sent me her labs, and her liver is doing great. So I'm so happy we are working in that way with her.
That's awesome.
That is good to hear. That's amazing to hear.
She's a great girl. She deserves a better life than being under medication all the time. And she has discovered tea, because sometimes during consultation she asked me how to prepare, how to get good water and stuff. And she's getting calm also, getting introduced in the way to prepare tea, about patience and stuff, and it's helping her also with her anxiety. So it works in very beautiful ways.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Hi, Oliver. Nice to meet you. Are you YouTube Oliver? Awesome. I don't know if your audio is working. Sorry, I just wanted to shout you out and welcome you to the party. Yeah.
So, as long as we're at a quick pause, now is usually about the time that we would break out into breakout rooms. I think in a large group of 18 people right now, which I must say is freaking awesome. There might be people that would like to and wish to speak that aren't getting the opportunities to. And the best way for us to include everybody is to split up into breakout rooms. So thank everybody for all of their participation. And I'm gonna send us out into breakout rooms now, if you guys don't mind.
All right.
Cool.
It's gonna.
Sam, I'm sorry. I really don't want to, but I have to go because I have patients in 10 minutes and I have like 5. You know, COVID is freaking out people, so I keep with my patients. Thank you very much for this Puer party. It was great. I enjoyed it very much, and I was so happy to get all my Puer around and to listen to you guys and learn about your experiences has been very enrichment for me. I'm sorry I have to go, but I have to go with my patients, so I won't be in the groups. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Love you all.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Thank
Get
you.
them all drinking the tea.
Alrighty.
I will drink tea. Even with my patients, I drink my tea. It calms me down.
Yeah. Sure.
Awesome.
calms them
See
down.
you.
I'm gonna hit the
See
breakout.
you guys.
So thank you everybody for coming, and we'll get split up. We're gonna go into 3 rooms this time.
Okay.
3 rooms. Wow.
Bye. See you. Love you all.
You too.
I like to put a little seed out there while we're all getting ready to get into our breakout rooms, but I want to know if we can come up with like a common term for the folks that are constantly chasing the puer high, like the crazy extreme high. You know those folks are out there. I don't think we have a name for them. You know,
I'm one of them. I probably try because I'm one of them. So
yeah.
I don't want to mention one, but I don't know if you know him, Yangchu. For his website, he calls it Puer Junkie. But I think we need something better because it's just like not chasing the dragon, but because that's heroin.
Yeah, no.
Awesome. Elise, you and Pan are in the same room,
All right, we're gonna get
so
this.
you'll be able to discuss that plenty more.
Crusaders.
the Crusaders.
Crusaders.
Oh, now that's mean.
Breakout rooms are not working. Are you guys not seeing something that says
No.
breakout rooms on your screens?
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything yet.
Oh my gosh! I broke my Zoom room.
Broke out rooms.
It broke out. Oh, no.
Must have been all those Pusaders came and Pusaded your Zoom room.
Yeah, no, I've been.
That was in the third crusade.
This is disappointing. I messed up, and I don't think there's a way that I can get it working without having to restart, without everybody having to rejoin, and that sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. Because then we'd have to sign up through that Eventbrite page again, too, right?
No, you could
Yes,
rejoin. You rejoin using the same link.
Okay.
Nothing. The link never changes,
where am I
guys.
storing this link? Where am I saving this link? On my notes? On my phone?
Sure, bookmark it.
I'm not organized like you, Sam.
Notes. I think I have it. I think I have it here. Let me just see.
Wait, so it's the same link every time. I don't have to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
So I've had to do my password like 8 times.
Everybody wants a tip. I basically just created a recurring event in my calendar and put the link on the event.
Cool. I'll do a one better. I'll go make a Bitly link. This is really gonna make Sam happy.
Please use the Mythos link, because if we do have to change the Zoom room, that's the way that I can change it. And if everybody is going to the lobby that I have built on Mythos, that's going to be the key.
That's what I do, the Mythos link.
So I just shared a Mythos link in the group chat. That's the link to bookmark. It says click here to join. When you click there to join, it launches Zoom. It doesn't take you anywhere else. That's the link to bookmark.
Okay.
I do appreciate everybody that does go through the registration process at least once, because that's what gets you into an email database that lets you know when we're doing awesome shit. as long as we're kind of in this meta conversation and talking about doing awesome shit, Elise, do you want to talk about next Thursday?
Oh yeah, so next Thursday we're doing a rebroadcast of the virtual tea festival with select presentations, not the entire thing, but we're going to be doing it for a new audience. So we're targeting the Reddit community and broadcasting it on Twitch. That'll be from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Pacific, and then at 2 p.m. we'll be doing the TeadTalks as normal. But because we're going to have this engaged audience from the virtual tea festival, we are expecting a pretty big crowd. And my goal, I know maybe it intimidates Sam that I make such ambitious goals, but my goal is to have 100 people in the tea talks. I mean, we're not that far away today. What, 18? That's not too much different. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, go ahead, Sam.
So using this awesome Mythos tool, what I've gone ahead and done is built a choose your own adventure virtual tea house. So last time we did this, people had to come into my room and I had to manually assign them into breakout rooms. Here I can send them to this link. They can choose that they want to learn more about tea. They get a fun little fact about tea. Then they can decide that they want to learn more about Gong Fu Cha, and that puts them into a room with Sohan, for example. So the idea here really is for our guests in this tea house to have the power to choose where they go, what room they sit in, what tea server they have tea with. If you guys would be interested in hosting a room, let me know. My goal is if we're going to have 100 people, then we want to have 10 to 15 tea rooms. So if you're interested in hosting a tea room, send me an email. I'll get you all set up here in the virtual tea house so that people can find you. And let me know what you want to discuss in your room, how your room's going to work. And it's really going to be up to you. I want this to be an opportunity for you guys to hold the space the way that you want to hold it. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Actually, it'll come up. I know that.
Of course.
What do you think about slightly more like off-base tea rooms? I have a friend who runs a circus tea house that has been showing up to some like tea events.
I've already been in touch with Travis Sigley.
It's not even Travis Sigley. That's funny. What? I know, right? A different circus tea house, I guess.
I'm all for it. Like
okay.
it really. I think I was chatting with Elise last week, and the idea that tea is like the ultimate space holding tool. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for a variety of tea spaces.
Wonderful. Yeah, anything.
Okay,
yeah, I mean, you saw that choose your own adventure. Yeah, you can go in all types of directions, and the more diversity, the better. Because yeah, we're going to be bringing in so many different people, and the people that are going to be coming to this one next week, it's a whole new crowd. So this is not the typical like Instagram followers and Facebook followers and like tea festival people that we're all kind of already intertwined with. This is going to be the Reddit community, which is pretty like anonymous and diverse. So I think like the more diversity we have in our offerings in the rooms, the better.
That's true.
If we have a circus tea room, then we can go to the circus community on Reddit and tell them that the circus tea room exists.
That sounds right. When is this event again?
Next week.
This is a week from today.
Yeah.
Same time?
Same time.
The TeadTalks. So the virtual tea festival will be running kind of all day from 8 a.m. until
great.
2 p.m. and that'll be streamed to Twitch. And we're going to be cross-promoting it across different subreddits. You all are welcome to join. Anybody's welcome to join and watch those, but the marketing that we're doing and the promotion that we're doing is specifically to the Reddit community.
I see.
We're trying to bring like friendliness and community and non-trolling to the Reddit community. It's gonna be world changing. I can't wait to see what happens.
Reddit's a jungle.
Reddit is worse than 4chan. I'll say that much. That's safe from me.
Well, it depends on what your definition of worse. 4chan has its own things, but the thing about Reddit is that like it can be bad, but it's so much more kind of mass community than 4chan.
Right.
But then that's the opportunity for us to engage with that community and be like, hey, like these tea communities exist all over the world, and when we get out of our house and start socializing again, there will be great opportunities for us to
Well, for
to
me,
drink tea
it's
together.
like that's why I'm thankful for Sam and y'all having these type of things. Being due to my anxiety and being antisocial, extremely due to my autism, having this was great. But like whenever and online, I'm pretty much safe. But for me, Reddit was like the convention of conventions, like where I go and where when I go to IKEA, I just get overstimulated and crawl up into a ball. So I'm like, that's what I see Reddit as. So I'm like, I have to say, you're brave for that.
Yeah, we're pretty darn brave for what we're doing, but we have
Yeah.
experts helping us, so we're we're not going in completely blind, and everything is pretty meditated. Yeah.
Fortune favors the bold.
Fortune favors the bold. Yes, that quote. That's I was here. Sir, what's his name? Says that Planet Earth.
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough. That's why you're saying that. Fortune favors the bold.
So
Whenever I see David Attenborough, I think of Sean Connery's voice. I don't know why.
Guys, I'm gonna dip out. I'm giving myself till 3 to start doing some things. But it was lovely seeing you all.
Hi,
and
Cynthia.
Sam, I'm gonna hit you up because that sounds fun. I'm
Awesome.
ready to join.
Good.
One. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi.
So Sam, are we gonna do this breakout room thing? Are we gonna?
No, I had turned off breakout rooms on my Zoom so that I could do some remote support for my mother-in-law, and never turned it back on. And apparently can't turn it back on while still in a call. Like I fucked up the breakout rooms, so we can hang out here.
Of course.
Breakout
Yeah.
room thing, unless people want to leave the call and rejoin.
I'm okay with either, but hey, I'm okay with anything.
I'm actually probably going to dip because I've got an Instagram live in 30 minutes with my friend who's a potter. So if y'all are done with this at that time and you want to come and watch me talk to Jason Blank, and he's going to be making tea pets. He's going to be making tea pets while I talk to him. He's a potter. He's going to be doing
What's your Instagram live thing?
West China Tea. It's all one word, West China Tea. But yeah, anyway, I got to go and get ready for that. But this is great. Thank you, Sam and Elise. You're amazing. I'm so excited about the virtual Tea Fest going to Reddit, and you are so brave. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. And thanks for holding it down week after week. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
All right. See you, Sohan.
So Elise, I just sent you. Speaking of the virtual Tea Fest, I made an adjustment to my pre-recorded video.
Okay. Cool.
And I sent you, I just added a bumper to the intro and something at the end where I mentioned my website.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, you're going to have more time this time. So yeah, you're welcome to make any edits like that.
Well, the video is actually going to be shorter than it was before because I took out the whole preamble about the virtual Tea Fest and thanks for inviting me and all that stuff.
Cool.
Because you guys cut that anyway.
Sorry.
You cut the beginning and the end off of the video.
Yeah, time. Just took on way too many people last time. So yeah, learned from that. It's better to give people time.
Elise, you were mentioning about last time matcha.
Uh-huh.
Now, what's the highest grade of matcha like, or the best of the best?
The highest grade is gonna be like single cultivar, hand ground, very first flush.
Where would I get that is my question. Because I've seen Ocha and Ippodo, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I can hook you up with the best stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, just message me. I mean, so you're asking like the highest quality, the highest grade. Like what I said is the highest grade. That is like totally unrealistic. Like that would be you having to like get your own tencha, which is the raw form of matcha, and then having your own stone ground and grinding it yourself.
Okay.
And
I was thinking that ceremonial grade is the highest, but I'm not sure. That's why.
Yeah, so ceremonial grade is the highest. I mean, there's really only two grades whenever you're going to generalize into ceremonial grade.
Right.
So within the ceremonial grade category, there is a wide range. So, yeah. And that's become like a really strong marketing term. So you're going to see ceremonial grade everywhere, even though it's not technically ceremonial grade. But just a little education on ceremonial grade, like officially, if it's going to be ceremonial grade, what you're supposed to, the prerequisites, which aren't policed. So that's why people mislabel anyway. But it has to be, the plants have to be shaded with 2 layers of blacked out shade at least 4 feet above the plant. So it can't be like the kabuse that's directly on top of the plant. It has to be above. So if someone sends you a picture of their matcha field and say, oh, this is matcha's coming from this matcha field, if you don't see a scaffolding system around the whole garden that can put that rig of shading, then it's not even true matcha. Like, so matcha has to have that shading like that. And then for ceremonial grade, it has to be coming exclusively from the first flush. There is a little bit of debate about what cultivars you're supposed to use. But, there's also a lot of flexibility coming into that now because a lot of producers are figuring out how to make very high quality matcha from cultivars that are considered for sencha or, for lower grade teas. But then the stem has to be removed from the tencha. Okay. So it has to be just the leaf only. So a lot of matchas will be made from, ground up the whole leaf and stem. The stem has to be removed. And then it has to be aged for at least 7 months prior to grinding. So if someone hits you up in June and says, hey, I got 2020 matcha, you can have it, like, no, say no. Like, you got to wait until at least October until they open the matcha or the tencha and start grinding it. And then the last requisite is the stone grinding.
Right.
So, and that's the hardest part because the traditional stone grinder, like even if it has like a mechanical element to it, it still has to be that small scale. Those can only do 40 grams an hour. 40 grams an hour. So, if you're thinking of a big factory that has to like process through a ton of tencha, it's impossible to use the traditional stone grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can test that yourself very easily by putting a little mound of the matcha on some white paper and putting your finger and running it. And if it feels like silky paint, it's legit. They're using that grinder. If it feels like coarse at all, you'll feel the difference. Then it's like the commercial grinder and it's not ceremonial grade.
I see so many matcha shops around LA and it's just like, I'm like, I don't know what's what. It's kind of like how people overhype T1 Yin. So it's good to have the spice. Thank you so much about that.
Yeah. Sorry, this is meant to be about Puer, not matcha, but...
Sorry.
On the note of shading matcha, is it okay to do it with solar panels?
Yeah. It's actually very economically feasible. Well, not now anymore because Japan stopped the feed-in tariff incentives, but... like that rigging system is even the traditional one made of bamboo. Bamboo is a great renewable resource, but even that is expensive. So like a farmer has to invest a lot of money into doing that. But for a while there, immediately after the tsunami, the Japanese government was incentivizing solar panels with the feed-in tariff. You get paid for your energy that you fed into the grid. But now they don't do that anymore. But, during that time, there were a lot of investors that were looking for land to put solar panels. So it was kind of a win-win synergy that they could do the shading with solar panels. But there is some argument, some theorists, I should say, that believe that it's unsafe to like live under solar panels and to like eat food that's been cultivated under solar panels, but I don't know the validity to that, but there's that argument on that side. Some kind of radiation from the solar panels.
Solar radiation is a bad thing.
Well, you're talking about radiation from the sun, right?
Oh, we're talking about 5G. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, what is that what you're talking about? So 5G. So that's why I said theorists, because
I'm just talking shit for the sake of talking shit.
That's funny.
So we can go back to Puer.
let's do it.
How young is too young to drink Sheng Puer?
That's a good question. That's what I've always been wondering.
2 days? 6 days?
I would say there is no too young.
He's trying to speak, and he hasn't spoken yet. But his microphone's not working.
Yeah. Oliver, you got to figure out your audio. I'd love to. He always has such great things to say on YouTube. He's very knowledgeable. I'm sure he's got some great things to share with us right now.
What's his YouTube channel?
No, he watches the live stream and he comments. Yeah. All right, he's gonna try. Come back, Oliver.
Awesome.
Pedro, you were gonna say something though. I wanna hear what you were gonna say.
I was gonna say that I don't think there is too young. If you guys have ever tried to do some fresh leaves from Puer trees boiled in spring water, they're delicious.
Yeah.
And they are, beyond young because they're straight off the tree. I think they're great.
Yeah, it's true.
That's what we were doing on Nanwo when we were they were boiling it in the bamboo and then we were drinking
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think it's delicious. You get some bamboo flavor and yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah. That was a nice experience. That was the day that we harvested that single bush tea that Sohan was drinking. And we did the barbecue. We did barbecue and we had the tea boiled in the bamboo and then we were eating raw camphor leaves with our meal, with our barbecue. Oh, that was so good.
Of course. I think that it's one of the best ways I've ever had tea and it's beyond young.
I think after processing, and I think this is similar for a lot of different types of teas, though, if you're going to process the tea, there is kind of a good week or so of just kind of settling time that's ideal for a tea.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, so that's why I said a few days. Let it after it's been processed, let it sit a few days, and then you can drink it.
I totally agree.
If young Sheng is your thing.
Not that big.
Well, no, I'm saying, if you don't like young Sheng, it doesn't matter how old it is or young it is. Or
this is a question for everyone, actually. What's the oldest tea you've tried? Actually, has anyone tried any tea from beyond, say, either beyond 1980s, or say, what's it taste like?
1940s is my oldest.
What did it taste like? Is the question.
It almost disappears before it hits your throat.
Yeah.
It was also kind of earlier in my experience with tea, so I didn't have as kind of practiced an awareness of energy of tea at that time. So, but the experience wasn't such that I was like, oh wow, this is where it's at. I've been drinking crap. It was, it was interesting, but yeah.
And that's why I've been wondering, because before buying any of that, I'm like, it's everyone's experience.
I think it's the same with the corollaries in the wine world, where even wine connoisseurs are look, you could spend tens of thousands of dollars on wine, but really it's not that much better than a 200 bottle or whatever. I find that that's the same. I mean, 90s to 2005 Puer for me, a ripe Puer is, because I've spent extra to get 80s tea, and sometimes that tea, just because of how it's stored or other factors, is just not as good.
Because I've always wanted to get one that was for my birth year, so I could drink it every year. But then
that's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's fun.
You just touched on probably an important aspect of Puer that we haven't even brought up is storage.
Oh.
So wet storage is Hong Kong, Taiwan, in the humid environments, which is supposed to increase the aging process or speed up the aging process. That's my understanding. Others might know much more.
Well, actually, I was wondering, Sam, why do so many people want like Malaysia stored? Why is it so sought after?
I defer to others who may know more.
I don't know anything. I know that I store it on my shelf and I drink it very quickly. That's my storage.
Yeah, that's the same with my storage. That's all. Like, why so Malaysia?
Storage is just one of those things that it's like it's just a whole nother labyrinth of tea, from what I gather, and I haven't been able to understand.
Kind of like Yixing in a way.
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons to both, and the Malaysia thing, I don't know about that actually. Like most of the sought out merchants that I know about are in Taipei and Hong Kong, but it could just be a matter of like reputable merchants that people trust, and people trust the way that they are storing and that they're handling their teas and how they're sourcing their teas. But from a like outsider's perspective, not knowing any of the marketing, not knowing any of the anything, like just from a scientific perspective, and then also like a holistic perspective of understanding quality and processing and cultivation, is that like slow and steady is always better, right?
Yeah.
So if you just take them from that perspective, then the dry aging should be the best, but then dry aging takes longer and requires more resources, so then maybe the price is higher, so then it's advantageous to get the wet storage because then it's more accessible and price friendly. I don't know, lots of things to consider. There's some interesting aging going on here in North America too. It's not just.
I got a couple of my cakes from I don't know if you remember him, Yangshu, and his storage process is amazing, and his cakes are really great too.
Where is he located?
He's in Los Angeles, here in West LA to be precise.
Does he alter his environment at all?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him. He runs a website, Puer Junkie. But he has he sold me a green mark from 2012. That was a mint. That was a blend, and I can't get enough of it. It just has such great oomph to it and flavor, and it can't describe it. And whenever he goes and gets the cakes itself, he goes through this, like, I guess it's a basement, but it's like a certain way. And he comes out, I'm like, wait, you were gone for like 10 minutes. What happened here? He's like, oh, it's a secret.
Ashish, that aged tea that you were talking about, you experienced, was that with Old Po?
The 1940s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he basically, we did it was 10 people, and we basically all bought in so that he could get this tea, because it was not cheap amount of money to get this tea, apparently.
80,000 per se?
I have no idea. I doubt it was that much.
What's the name again?
Of what?
Of the person that you drank the tea with?
Oh, his name is Poe. His website is heavenstea.net.
Why did that sound familiar?
Because he's been around a long time.
He's a legend. He has by far the most impressive tea collection in the United States. And he ages himself.
Yeah, he does. He's got so much tea. And speaking of aging in different places, so Dave Hoffman is another big tea collector.
Yes, that's the one who I was going to mention.
And I visited him, and I'll just say, the chi in his tea is significantly diminished from what it should be.
Oh, okay.
Wonder if that has something to do with his storage. Because he's got a huge collection of like 80s teas and all this and whatever. But to me, like, and I bought some of his teas and I drank some teas at his place. And my experience was that, you know, what was a 1980s tea and should have had a certain amount of chi was comparable maybe to a good 2015 show Puer. It was like, so there's that.
Because yeah, David Hoffman is the one that I was going to mention. He's like purported to be like the person who bought Puer to the U.S. and legend and all that.
He's done great things
movie
for the
was
tea
made
world.
about him. Yeah, go to Old Poe. Old Poe is the one to go to.
But the thing is, Poe won't sell anybody tea unless they drank with him before.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
That's why I said go to him. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to sit with him.
Yeah.
And then you can buy.
The request is sitting, basically.
But I'm sure, you know, he'll, if you email him and you really want to get some tea.
Yeah.
Drop our names. I'm sure that'll help too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, I think what you're talking about, Ashish, with David Lee Hoffman. You know, I have a friend that worked with him for a bit and did a sourcing trip with him, and I've seen his aging. You know, I've gone and have tea there. He's an incredible human being, like really great personality. I really enjoyed that experience there. He like made lunch like completely from scratch, like grew the wheat that he ground to make the bread that he made his lunch for us. Like really incredible person in that sense. And the storage caves that he's made, like I actually got to go into one of them. I don't know if you had that fortune to go into his caves. They were legit as well. So like, I think the storage is fine. But you know, based off of what I've heard about the sourcing strategy, I think it's more about the tea than it is about.
My personal feeling is about it too, is there's a lot, at least when I went there's a lot of stuff going on legally in his field. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah.
So I think that is definitely has an impact on
energetically.
Yeah. On the situation.
Of course.
Now, actually, I was wondering. I was going to go on the thing about his storage and all that. Is it as legendary and elusive as they say it is, or is it?
It's caves. It's legitimately caves that he's like burrowed underneath his property. Like he's developed his property very cool, like very sustainable, like really a lot of cool diverse things going on. But then it's all out of code, and so which dang it, like that shouldn't be a problem.
No, it shouldn't. It's an unfortunate series of events because people are not being cool about it. But whatever, it's the situation.
Yeah.
And there we go. And I just looked up Poe, and I was like, I do know him. I've heard of him several times. So good.
He's legend.
Yeah.
How do we get old Poe in the TeadTalks?
I've tried.
Yeah, he's like a snow leopard.
You only see him once.
Speaking of BBC Planet Earth.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
I'm sure if we could manifest ourselves, to speak in the voice of his cat Petal and get Petal to convince him that he needs to join the crew at TeadTalks, we might be able to get him.
Actually, I mean, I was testing out my tea hangouts for my course early on, and he actually did show up to one of those, and I have a recording of it if people are interested in seeing what he's like, because he's not as you would maybe imagine. I mean, he's a white Jewish guy from New Jersey, so
I would make sure that you have his consent to share that recording before.
Oh no, I do for sure, because it's already shared, it's already public.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that he's that shy. He gets out. He's very social in his space.
Yeah. But
Yeah, he's a funny one. Before I met him, several people like warned me about him. About he's too spiritual or he's too far out there. Heck no, dude. He is so grounded. He's so there with you, and he totally embodies this, like the real spirit of tea, not that like elusive, like high level spirit of tea, but like the real grounded spirit of tea. And yeah, he just likes to joke around and have fun, and drink tea with his cat. And I mean, the space he drinks tea in, he's completely surrounded with all his tea storage. He has all of these beautiful ceramic storage containers, and he's storing in Portland, which I think probably has a very interesting climate for aging itself.
Well,
so yeah.
David, is that his name? Not Dave. The Chinese tea company guy in Vancouver.
David C.
That's Pedro.
No.
Chinese.
Daniel.
Daniel.
So when I visited him, he was talking about storage, and I was surprised because he considers the Northwest climate to be dry storage, even though it's so wet. He considers it to be dry storage, which I thought was interesting.
His teas are fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I have a 90 Sheng Puer from him, which is really nice.
Wait, David?
Daniel. The Chinese tea shop.
I have a few pots from him that I really like, and the couple of teas that I've gotten there are awesome as well.
Now, speaking on that level, has any of you all heard of Chanting Pines?
Yes.
I bought some Qing Dynasty teaware from them. Here, let me find it. Get back. I bought a couple of them from them. So you would say they're legit, pretty much, the company itself, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
This teapot is from them.
Oh, nice. Wow. That's a Qing Dynasty, right?
No. This is just an artist made this. This is a new pot.
How's it flow and everything?
But it's great. It's the way that they do their pots is they have different grades of clay. So you can buy bronze, silver, diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a diamond level clay pot. And I have a silver one that I ordered as well. And I actually consulted Poe about buying. Like he's also really good with antiques.
Uh-huh.
He knows how to buy antiques things. And I asked him, hey, I really just want a pot that's like kind of my samurai sword, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, should I buy like some aged pot? He's like, you know what? Actually, like my samurai sword teapot is from Chanting Pines.
Oh, good.
Even in silver grade, not necessarily diamond grade. So I have a silver grade one it's actually been held up in shipping for 4 weeks.
Being the wares nerd I am, I saw a Qing Dynasty teapot for sale there for I think it was like $2,000, and I think it was a person from Teasby said you might want to check. He didn't know about Chanting Pines, and he's like, it might be skeptical. So I was like, I don't know.
told me that if I want to buy an antique teapot, not to buy it from them. Not because they're not necessarily good, but because their prices are a little bit high.
Oh, okay.
But that's just what he told me.
I would say be skeptical anywhere you're thinking about dropping $2,000 on a teapot.
That's why I was like,
I certainly don't see myself dropping $2,000 on a teapot anytime soon. But
Ron, thanks for letting me listen in and learn from you all. I appreciate it because y'all know so much and I know so little. So I really like to glean what I can from all your conversation. But I need to go. But thanks so much.
Bye, Cindy. Thanks for joining us.
I gotta go too, guys. Bye. It was nice seeing you again.
bye, Danny.
Yeah, bye, Danny.
Bye. Have a nice weekend and have a nice Labor Day. Not working.
Bye.
I'm going to call on Jeremy, the strong silent man who hasn't said a word in like an hour and a half, and he's going to just drop some like knowledge bomb on us.
Yeah, definitely.
That's usually what ends up happening.
No, I wish I could in this respect. I'm really not that experienced with Puers. The one thing I always thought one thing that was interesting is the last time I was at like a Puer tasting, that it's sort of like a blind tasting, so they don't really give you a heads up on what it is. Every single time, I always defer to young Sheng Puers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the big lesson there was don't feel obligated to buy the 20, 25-year-old shoe if it doesn't sort of fit your palate, if you don't have that experience. And I think some people are way too intimidated by the Puer, market because it's so...
It's vast.
Yeah. So it's like, so I'm going through all these teas, and it turns out that I seem to prefer the least expensive. And oddly enough, I was reassured, don't worry about that. You don't need to sort of go to the oldest or the most expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of great Puer for less than $50.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm frozen for some reason.
One thing I like about it is I think I'm always on the search for, like, in the wine world per se, like the Cristal or the Pinnacle. I like that though.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, you were mentioning you used the term like your samurai sword of teapots.
Yeah.
The one teapot that you could use for everything?
No, because I mostly just drink Puer and Liu Bao, so I'm pretty much drinking the same style of tea. So I'm pretty much just talking about that. Drinking those types of teas with a particular pot.
I see. So you're just looking for a pot that is like really good for those styles.
Yeah.
Would you mind if it's an F1 pot by any chance, or?
Oh, who? What?
A factory one pot?
I don't know that much. I'm not, I've been, for years, this is a recent thing for me. For years, I was using a Taiwanese red clay kind of half handmade pot, which has been great. So the limitation of that I found was that the clay, it doesn't insulate the tea as well, so that I just wasn't really able to squeeze as much out of my kind of like darker teas.
Right.
I'm noticing with this pot, especially with the size, and this is just a new learning experience with me now that I'm trying different pots, and actually I have a long relationship with particular teas.
Mm-hmm.
I can naturally tell things when I drink out of a different pot, what the difference is. And I'm noticing it makes some things better, and some things are better in that other pot, and it's just a new kind of level of learning for me.
For my knowledge that I've learned, I'm still always learning about it, is Factory One, and Sam or someone could jump in possibly and tell me, is that Factory One has their clay from I think from early 90s, beyond that, or before that, their clay was very, very good. It really retained a lot of properties that really enhanced the tea and made a lot of tea really much better, and really was legendary in that aspect. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I collected a lot of those, because it does help with it, especially with Puer. So you might want to check them out.
Mm-hmm.
How important would you say it is to have a clay pot? Like, if you did, what if it's a small glass or a small porcelain?
Well, that's a good question, because for me, it could all depend on a thing of taste. I always used porcelain, and I still use it for certain teas, Longji or green teas. But for darker teas or like Puer, I find that they have so much to them that, like a clay, like for instance, like this, an F1 or a other Yixing, like the one that Eric has, they provide more. They really have an essence to them that could bring in and help enhance the flavor. It's very much like a cast iron pot, per se. They're very well seasoned. So it really, for me, it's important for that. But for others, I know other tea masters, tea people who was like, oh no, porcelain's fine, and they jumble well with it. Me, I can't, and I need to learn how to.
I'll drink tea out of what I got.
One or nothing. No.
I have a pot that I use for Sheng Puer, that I have a pot that I use for Sheng Puer. I don't think there's anything particularly special about it, other than the fact that I've made a whole bunch of Sheng Puer in it. That at this point, when I pour water in it, like as I'm just like heating it up, when I pour water in, it's not clear when it comes out.
Oh yeah. That means it's well seasoned.
Which has just come from time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that my tea is any less enjoyable when I make it in a gaiwan.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it tastes like the tea. For instance, if I make dansong in a gaiwan versus say my I have it over there. Let me bring it. In my Shaozhou pot, the taste is different. The taste is more intense in, say, a gaiwan and less muted versus a one of these. And yet, this also has advantages of providing more flavor and brewing it differently than that. So, it's an exciting journey, I guess you could say.
But yeah, Jeremy, the way you frame that question, I think what we're trying to say is that, you asked how necessary it is. It's not necessary. It's absolutely not necessary.
Or I think it was, do certain people find it necessary?
I don't even think that. Like, I don't even think people that do have, I don't know, Pan, I'm speaking on your behalf, but people that do have big collections, they have those collections because that's what they value. And that's what your teapot collection should be. It shouldn't be like, oh, you have to have it like this, because if that's the case, then you let somebody convince you of that. And it's usually a marketer or somebody trying to sell you something versus I have this thing because I truly value it. And, it's how I enjoy my experience with tea. But yeah, it's not necessary.
Elise just hit the nail on the head right there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
My preference is just pots because, again, coming from an artistic background, I also love the form, and I love art that is functional and provides something with it. So that's about it. It's like cast iron pots for me, and I have an addiction. Yeah.
Hi, Oliver. Can we hear
Hello.
you now?
Hello,
Yay! Hey.
We can hear you.
Sorry for the trouble. I went with the tried and true method of restarting everything.
Cool. Yeah. So, Oliver, please catch us up on all of your thoughts of our conversation.
It's really interesting. I was really happy that you guys brought up Liu Bao earlier because it had actually slipped my mind. I do collect Puer, and last year I went and studied in Japan and found out about goishicha, which is a pickled tea, which is very cool. So I also have a collection of that, but there's only 2 sources that produce it, and so you can only really get 2, and they're all very similar. They standardize it quite a lot.
What's the source of tea?
It's from Okinawa, like a small village.
Ah, darn.
There's actually YouTube footage of it. If you just search goishisha on YouTube, there's a guy who went there with his old camcorder and took shots of them, processing the pickled tea. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
They pickle it before or after? When is the pickling process?
So I think they wilt the leaves, then it's arguable how much they ferment it, but then they add some, it's not brine, I believe they use, I'm going to have to do a bit more research on that, because I don't think they use rice vinegar for it. I'm not entirely sure which kind of vinegar they do use, but the issue with goishicha is it gets you very tea drunk, very fast. There's a lot of mycotoxins floating around in there. It's not necessarily dangerous, but it's definitely more noticeable than with Puer.
I'll be back.
Cool.
So the Crusaders would be into this kind of stuff.
I think so. It's a bit sour. It's a weird tea. It's like it has a hint of like an off milk or really old yogurt.
Yeah.
It come. I'll if you haven't seen it, I'll go just really quickly and grab a small sample so you can have a look at what it looks like.
Yeah, I've tried it before. It's not my favorite flavor of tea.
I love pickles.
I'm actually pickling cherry blossoms right now.
Oh, nice.
So this is goishicha. It's like a little flat segment of tea leaves, and it has a smell like someone poured lemon juice over horse dung.
Over a what?
It doesn't taste too dissimilar to that. Over like horse manure. It's a very odd tea. It originally comes from a Chinese tradition, but it's died out in China completely. So it's only made in a small region of Okinawa.
Cool.
You can buy them off Amazon in these kinds of packets. This is a Japan-only size. It's like the, how many grams? 100-gram packet size. You buy them in smaller amounts. I think through imports on the American Amazon, and it's way more pricey. So I'd honestly recommend just waiting until next time you go to Japan to try. That's quite fun. I mean, Watcha in Britain used to be a European source for it, but I haven't seen the goishicha on their website for a while.
Yeah, it was probably a high risk tea to take on. Probably expensive,
Perhaps.
and who knows who liked it. But where did you study in Japan?
I went to Osaka University
Cool.
for half a year. I did a study on flower petal orientation, making with genetics. So I'm a biology student. That was quite fun, and I did a lot of traveling around, and a lot of tea drinking, a lot of tea drinking, a lot of tea buying, although I maintain that I didn't buy enough. I'd run out. I really wanted to just stock my whole freezer, but yeah, you have to keep some kind of a budget when you're a student. So.
Of course. And you were in Osaka, you said? Cool.
Yeah.
Osaka's a fun city.
It is. It's really good. I like the Kansai people, and you can see a lot. I actually went to Opubu tea farms because Uchi is relatively close to Osaka. That was fun.
Yeah. I lived in Wazuka for about 6 months.
Ooh.
I started their internship program there. So yeah, that whole thing is all due to the work I did when I went there. So yeah, I went to Osaka often. That was my favorite city to go to. Although Nara was a lot easier to get to, Osaka had just like way more exciting and fun food and culture.
What times of year were you there?
I was there from January until May.
Okay. I think it's in spring though. In Nara, they do yamayaki, like the setting the mountain on fire.
Yeah,
did you get to experience that?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I just missed that. Yeah. Yeah, I heard about it though, of course. Yeah.
There's so much cool stuff. Sorry?
I have a friend who just moved to Nara.
Oh, cool.
You should go visit your friend.
Definitely.
As soon as that is the next trip that Hannah and I are planning on taking.
Cool.
Because it's not actually my friend, it's her friend.
Okay, nice.
Bring a camera.
I'm going to bring a camera and an extra suitcase for tea. If there's anything that I learned on my trip to China, it was that I didn't have an extra suitcase for all the tea I wanted to buy.
Smart man.
And it made it so that I couldn't buy as much tea as I wanted. And as I start to get closer to the end of the tea that I bought in China a little over a year ago, I wonder why I didn't buy more.
Yeah, that's why I collect Puer, because you can just store it forever, and it's easy to travel with. But yeah. And bring wet wipes because the deers are going to lick everything that you own. They tried to multiple times to eat my girlfriend's scarf. That was an interesting Valentine's date.
I
was,
heard
was
I
protecting
heard
it
there's
from.
an issue going on with the deer, like that because the people aren't going there and feeding them. I had to research what's going on, but yeah.
Because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
Interesting. I might ask my friend who studies there
Yeah.
in Nara currently
It'd be
about
interesting
that.
to
That's
know how the
interesting.
deer are handling, because I
Mhm.
think the tourism is like a part of their lifestyle,
Very much.
Yeah.
This is in Japan, you say, or?
Yeah, there's a very famous temple in the city of Nara that has a very big Buddha, a big golden Buddha.
The giant Buddha.
Yeah.
Also worth visiting.
Yeah.
I was wondering because that reminds me when I went to India and they had a similar thing with the deer that people would give out bags of food for those deer to be fed, and they're having that situation too with the deer. They're not being fed by the tourists.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the
I bet Bunny Island is also having a similar problem.
Oh, that's a whole bunch of a whole kind of worms. I'm not even gonna get into. I had an eccentric professor at Osaka University who studied Japanese macaques and macaque genetics and behavior and diet, and they had a situation where it was neither like Fox Village or Rabbit Island or Cat Island, but their idea was to make a kind of sanctuary for feral animals, but the macaques started to take a liking to meat after that. So
macaques meaning monkeys.
Yes, Japanese macaques.
I thought you meant
they do some very strange things.
Yeah, I thought you meant macaws, but I'm like, wait, macaws, yeah.
South America.
Wait, do the monkeys eat the bunnies?
Yeah, not on that island because that island doesn't have macaques. But yeah,
I won't tell Hannah. She would be very upset if I took her somewhere that we saw a monkey eating a bunny.
And so I was actually, since this was a Puer stream, what are the strangest things you guys have found in your Puer? Because I'm sure you all have found something strange.
Hair. I'll let others go first because I'll save mine for last.
I honestly haven't because I have not had a huge variety of Puer. I've had a lot of a small variety of Puers, but haven't experienced anything like super strange now.
Yeah, me neither.
I know you have.
I haven't. Yeah, I mean, all the teas that I come across are all like extremely artisanal, small batch. Even so like I know of the stories of like factory teas, not just from China but from all over, having crazy stuff like cigarette butts probably being the main one because I do see the open chain smoking, in people's factories and homes, so I can imagine a cigarette butt making its way into the tea. But actually none of the Puer producers that I've sourced from are smokers, so that's a good thing.
I guess I'll go. Well, for me, it was interesting. I found somewhat bits of wool and hair in mine, and it's interesting, and human hair. So I was like, oh. But I've heard others have found teeth, and one big, I think it was a giant queen ant, and silverfish. Yeah. So
that's bizarre.
Yeah.
So I keep a little container, which is an old matcha container actually.
Of things you found?
But of strange things in my Puer. It's not going to pick it up, but there is human hair, and I found some shards of. Okay, I'm going to take this with my fingers. Some shards of porcelain, and the most interesting to me are these very specifically shaped.
Oh, you're pretty
little lead weights.
Oh,
and
what?
See, they have a little hook. They have a little kind of you can see there's a hole, so they're meant to be tied in with something. It's almost
like a fishing weight.
Yes, exactly. And it's clearly lead because it hasn't rusted. So, and sadly, I found it in the last piece of that Puer cake that I sampled. So I might have ingested quite a bit.
Oh.
That
I'm a little bit of lead never hurt anybody.
And another piece. So yeah.
That porcelain
And
though, you never know.
I did find some chicken feathers as well once, but that's before I started saving them.
That's a good idea. Having a little container of all the stuff you find in your tea. Yeah, the only stuff I come across regularly is hair. Yeah, that's the main thing. That makes a lot of sense, you know.
It does.
Hair nets are not, very common.
But now I know why people use hair nets.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Or in Jeremy's case, a beard net.
Good one.
I like Jeremy's beard.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
all about that.
You envy it.
I don't. I've had a beard like that.
Oh.
It's too much for me. But to anybody who's like willing to rock it,
rock ZZ Top beard, yeah.
Yes. Especially now when every barbershop is closed, every salon is closed. So the least you could say is, I had to. I had no choice.
I had to shave to go with the Corona buzz cut, so I miss my beard.
I would think that like the hardest thing about a beard would be like the identity crisis of when you cut it off.
Kind of.
Right?
It's very strange.
It's nobody recognizing you.
Yeah.
That you walk up to somebody and they introduce themselves, and it's like, yeah, we hang out. We've been talking to each other all the time.
Or it's like every time you're carded and I have to show my ID. It's always a fun moment when everyone's holding my ID right up next to my face. Just about like, no.
That's too much. But funny. I get it. We have another person, Misei. I don't think we've heard from them.
Yeah, we haven't.
Misei contacted me through the Gong Fu Cha group, asking if she could attend. She is busy working, but still wanted to be able to tune in and listen. So she asked if she could come in, and I said yes.
Eric and Elise. So I see that Poe does tea session for like $75.
Yeah.
What is the attitude I should go in with? Like, I shouldn't be a person saying, "Oh, I want to be a tea master" type person, but just wanting to be humble and learn. I guess you'd say, right?
Well, you're just talking about. I mean, he has. Let's say he has a number of offerings, but he does tea school.
Yes.
But then he also does just tea journeys, which the attitude of that is you're just showing up to drink tea.
Okay.
But if you want to do his tea school,
yes,
that's every week on Sundays, and he's like, I studied with him in that fashion for I would say 3 years, and it's just chill. Like you show up. He doesn't ever seem to plan anything.
Good.
So, and I say the word seem, and I don't actually think he does plan anything, but it still all translates, as an amazing learning experience. Because
because I see that he has the that for like I think $75, and I want to learn from that, but also, of course, buy tea from him. Because from what I've heard from you and also others, it seems like he's like not like elusive, but like not someone who would like cater to someone who would just say, "Hey, I want to become a tea master" type person. He's not trendy.
I mean, he's not a fixed person, so he's very open. So if you want to just reach out to him and just be open about where you are and what you're looking for,
yes,
he'll respond to that.
Perfect.
I don't know if he would respond to like that kind of aggression well, though.
Right.
He's a humble guy. He's a very unassuming
he wouldn't.
guy.
he doesn't call himself a tea master.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because from like what I've noticed is like certain and I'm not saying they're bad, but like certain Chinese tea masters would not just give lessons to either anyone. You would really have to like show that you're willing to.
No, he's not like that at all.
Mm-mm.
No, if you want to sit with him and do the school, but he doesn't do it remotely though. You'd have to physically be present.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, he's as long as he has a seat for you, it's welcome. Everybody's welcome.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter at least when I was doing it. Doesn't matter any level of experience.
Yeah, and
but
if you go for one of the tea journeys, one of the private sittings with him, he it's more of like a counseling session than anything else. You're gonna go in and he's gonna make you feel comfortable, and you could, and I highly suggest that you take it this way, is just sit back and enjoy it and like talk to him as if he's your counselor, and the tea will flow. The tea will be incredible. It'll be the best tea that you get to drink. And he's not going to be sitting there telling you about how incredible the tea is and telling you, oh, this is this aged from this place, and that's not what it's about. It's about the sensuality of tea. That's the way he likes to put it, and how it makes you feel and how it holds space for you. Of course, after you drink the tea, if you want to know about it, he could tell you about it, but he's not forward on that. Most tea merchants, they're just like, they're so forward on that. Like that's the most important thing, is for them to explain to you why that tea is so incredible and why it's so valuable and why it's so unique. And Poe has that, but he doesn't lead with that. He leads with the sensation and the space holding, and
That's
friendship and sensuality.
Kind of like Global Tea Hut in a way,
but different. Yeah. He will actually talk about the tea. Like that, I've heard from Global Tea Hut that like they're very much forward on the spirituality part of it, and asking about the tea and asking about the technique and asking about the technical part of it is secondary toward But Poe respects all of that. If you want to ask him about it, he's more than happy to tell you.
That reminds me of my experience of having tea with MJ.
Yeah, MJ's very similar to that. Yeah.
Now I know who MJ is. I looked him up. I remember him asking if there are any gatherings in LA, and I guess it didn't go well or something. I was like, oh, well.
It went great. I was there.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't get to go.
It was awesome. That's how I met MJ.
Oh. See, I didn't get to go. I was like, darn it.
Yeah, we were like 5 people having tea at some weird property in Topanga, and it was like...
That sounds true.
It was freaking awesome.
That's the best way.
Yeah, and then the other time I got to have tea with him was at his tea room on my way home from Burning Man. And it was like the perfect stopover on the way home from my first Burning Man. And I was like, oh, tea with MJ is a good idea right now.
After all that.
So yeah, it was great. But so we're at 4:00. This has been 2 hours of just awesomeness.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I need to hit the road and move on.
Yeah.
I can certainly leave the Zoom room open if you guys wish to continue.
I think
I gotta go, everyone. Thank you so much, Elise, for introducing me to Poe. And I'm gonna look forward to that. And Shohan. So thank you.
Bye, guys.
Well,
I won't screw up next week. I've already.
By the way, one last thing for people. I just officially released an online Gung Fu Tea course at learngungfutea.com. If people want to go check that out and want to actually go through it, let me know and I'll set you up with it.
Awesome.
I'll do it.
Ashish. Congrats on that, Ashish. I hope it goes well. It seems that there's a lot of Gung Fu Tea classes out right now, so the more education, the better.
Exactly. Well, let's get all the Redditors in here that don't know how to do this stuff.
Yeah. Don't you dare tell a Redditor he doesn't know how to do something. He or she doesn't know how to do something. That's the first step to getting trolled out.
Wait, there's Redditors that don't know how to do things?
Oh dear. All right, guys. Well, it's been real. Hey, Oliver, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you get to join more of our tea parties in the future.
Thank you. The time difference is a fun challenge, but
yeah,
I speak quietly. I think it works. Thank you so much for having me, and have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.